Hi, welcome everyone. Just one. In a minute, we'll talk about Gestalt approach in challenging times. I'm really honored to welcome our two guests, Dost and Dorothy. Thank you for your participation and collaboration with ICF Turkey chapter.
Thank you.
They'll talk about Gestalt approach in challenging times, and we'll be very happy, very pleased to listen to them. So I close my camera and leave the scene to them. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rana. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always so fun, and it's a privilege to be speaking with this wonderful audience. I'm so happy to be chatting with Dorothy. Actually, we didn't want to talk at you, but we wanted to talk together with Dorothy and actually invite you to our conversation while we are speaking about it. And we will be happy to actually receive some questions at the last 15 minutes. But basically, Dorothy and I will always love to chat about this topic. So we will be chatting together, and we're actually inviting you to hear us or listen to us or be with us at this conversation. And I would love to, because I'm from Turkey, and this is why I'm starting to Turkish, and because also Dorothy has been, we met. When did we meet? It was 2003, I think. So it is nearly 18 years now that I have been working with Dorothy, first as your student, Dorothy. I will speak to you directly, and then I was working with you in like a supporter role in a program, and now we are partners. We're working together. We're delivering the Gestalt coaching program. We are partners in Gestalt Coaching Center in Turkey, Gestalt Center for Coaching, in Istanbul, and we're doing all these ACTP programs together. And I met Gestalt approach with you. You are my teacher. You are kind of the person who originated the Gestalt coaching approach, right? Or applied the Gestalt approach to coaching. You're the originator of the idea and the approach. So it's always a privilege working with you. And what strikes me about this topic is Gestalt approach is for all the time. All times, and interestingly, it works perfectly well in challenging times. I have used it myself. I'm just going to speak about it. But as you are the Gestalt lady, to call you that. I don't know if I can call you that, but I'm just going to do. I did already. So I would love to welcome you to this. I would like to welcome you to actually talk about, because I don't know, you'll speak, I'll speak, but I really want you to start really talking about this topic of Gestalt approach in challenging times.
Dostum, I first, çok teşekkürler. That's the first thing. I want to thank you for all the people that are listening to us. I just want to say merhaba. Hoş geldin. I'm so privileged to speak with you. It's very exciting to speak with you in these times, because these are important times to create hope and possibility. So I want to say both umut, hope, and hayal, dreams, and especially I want to use the word that I learned from Dost and my dear Gila, our other partner, arkadaşlar, to be in relationship. Dost, I was also thinking, I've been walking with you since 2003, and I know your name means friend, and I feel that we are in friendship together. And I know that Gila's, absolutely, and I know that Gila's name means joy, our other partner. And I feel that together we create friendship and joy in our program. And I just yes, and for our faculty, just for everyone, we have 7 MCC faculty on our faculty, which is the word, I don't know, it's unusual. and so excellent. Because
Yes.
I think it's a symptom, it's a sign of the Turkish culture, of the love of learning and the love to create excellence. So I think in friendship, in joy, and in the love to create learning and excellence. And, you know, I thank you for this, Dost, but I also want to say to everybody, I'm going to use the word superpower in Zamanlarda, in these difficult times. The superpower is to ask ourselves, who are we connected to in colleagueship and friendship? Colleagueship is a form of friendship. Do we have joy in our work? Because without joy, we lose the essence of aliveness. And are we in, and this is the word that I think Dost, you brought us, but I love it from my practice. Are we in connection of learning? The Sanskrit word sangha. Are we in connection of community? Because since ancient times, community is our strength. So friendship, colleagueship, a sense of connection, these are the secret weapons of resilience and some of the medicine for these difficult times. So I think that's so important for us. And I also, you know, for everyone listening, I haven't been to Istanbul in a year and a half. It's unbelievable. But I want to say, daha iyi Türkçe konuşacağım ama şimdi bu kadar. And why, Dost? Why? Why do I want to use some Turkish words, not to show off, but to show love and respect? And I think that language is a doorway to our deep interior. And, you know, in our program, Dost, we speak a lot in Turkish as well, but so kindly, many moments you are speaking in English for me. But I feel that in difficult times, we need to look at the language of connection. Sometimes it's the language of a person's culture, whether it's Turkish, we've had people from France, we've had people from America, we speak American English and Canadian English. We've many different languages, and now, but I also think it's the currency in our approach is to understand that Gestalt, which is so interesting, as you say, Dost, it's a methodology for our times. And why is that? It's a methodology, and it's interesting. I am the Gestalt lady because I'm the oldest one in the system, and I've been working on this for many years. And for many years, I continue to say this one sentence. It's still relevant. It's still alive. And why? Because the Gestalt approach that was born after World War II to help people break totalitarian thinking, you know, mass thinking, to bring more aliveness, is an awareness approach. And therefore, it's a presence-based approach. And therefore, I've been saying it's a vertical development approach, which means that our job is to be present to whatever is happening in the moment with our awareness. And why? The Turkish word farkındalık means to bring awareness. And in awareness, there are keys to unlock the moment. And our keys to unlock the moment from our approach is to understand resistance. When people are saying no to you, they're not saying, no, I'm going to be difficult to you. They're saying no to themselves. So in these times, Dost, what I really find people is we know that people are saying no to feeling frightened. Nobody wants to feel frightened. No one wants to lose hope in these difficult times. No one wants to lose connection. And so our theory is paradoxically first to tell the truth, which is awareness. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? What's zor? What's hard for you? And interestingly, that's the magic. The magic is if we touch those moments of awareness, something opens. That's always a surprise. So we call the Gestalt approach a liberation approach. Because in the present moment, in the simple act of awareness, which is not simple, what we discover is more innovation. We discover new possibilities. So it's a present-based approach that has, respect for what's happening and also respect for whole system thinking. Gestalt this is why so many people say, well, what is Gestalt? And we would say, well, what are you paying attention to? Is it in you? Is it in the other person? Is it between me and you? So I think actually, Dost, as I sit with you, I'm so delighted to have this conversation because I have focused on awareness-based strategies. And I also want to say, interestingly enough, that when we talk now about difficult times, we also talk about being aware of how we are all survivors of difficult times. And what we use our thinking is to say, and we're not always aware of that. So, you know, Dost, I borrowed from the mayor of Istanbul who says, çok güzel olacak. Her şey çok güzel olacak. What's our mindset, right? I love it. I can't help myself. You know, the Turkish culture has been teaching me inspiration, and also as an old culture, there's a lot of wisdom in your sayings. Are you aware of that? In your practices, are you aware of that? And for me, Dost, the fact that we are in our 12th year together here in Turkey means that the Turkish culture looks always to see where there is innovation and aliveness. So I hold all of that. We are awareness-based, we are presence-based, we are liberation inviting, we're very human, we're mind, body, spirit. This is why it's what is Gestalt is a big, and yet right now we say to people, okay, what are you paying attention to? Because that's your Gestalt. And I love that. Right now, what I'm aware of is I've said something that's brought a smile to your face. And what I'm most aware of is for our partnership, for our dialogue, I'd like to offer you the invitation to what's just made you smile.
Dorothy, actually on the chat, people are raving about your Turkish, so that's what I want to say.
Raving? Well, they are. They are. Bravo.
Yes, people are actually projecting that if you can speak this much, you could actually deliver this speech in Turkish. So that's that's part of. I mean, of course, what you said also brings me to mind, but probably you can't quote the moment that I was just really. Should I stop her and tell her this? And then you were paying attention. That's exactly what that's a Gestalt awareness woman. You were paying attention to me. Yes. So you caught my smile, and then this movement came about. And this, I think, is the essence of what we do. Can we catch the movement? Can we be aware of the possibility? Can we aware of the potential? I mean, if you're not paying attention, if you cannot catch it, you know, what are we doing? So that exact movement is Gestalt, I would say, Dorothy.
Well, I want to say to you, my dear Akadashlar friend, and I was my colleague, but I also want to say to everyone listening, you know, it's an interesting conversation. I'm originally from Montreal, and in Montreal, Quebec, there was not a respect for language, and ended up losing a lot of people because there was a lack of respect. So I always think about again, what our approach is to respect the other culture, to respect the different perspective. And the other part of it is how enriching a different perspective is. So, you know, but I'm going to tell everybody on the line is, I actually, in coming, difficult times, a difficult time is what created my partnership with you. And what we have is maybe a negative bias that a difficult time is the end. We would say a difficult time, a breakdown, is an opportunity for a breakthrough. I mean, even in this terrible year, and I do think has been a very scary year, but we see at the large system level that the climate has benefited, wild animals has benefited, water system have benefited, carbon emissions have benefited, 30% improvement, who can believe it? Greenhouse gases have benefited. But I come back to you, Dost, and I'm going to use this phrase, which I have loved in Turkish, that these small moments that we can capture, küçük ama büyük, are the small moments. Küçük ama büyük, it means that the human condition, the mystery between us, lies in the small moments where something is precious, a memory, a feeling. I can't say yes to you because I can't say yes to myself. We hide these small moments. And if as a coach, we can use our eyes, our heart, our body, we can catch the moment. This is the kuchuka mabuk that opens a door to a new possibility. And actually, to all our friends listening, actually, this is the moment to continue in any language, because it's not about the language. It's about the way inside ourselves we keep an old story when in difficult times we are required to look again with innovation. And our neocortex says, no, hang on to the old way. You don't know, you can't be in uncertainty. And we say, we're going to teach us how to support you to stand in the uncertain. And I think, Dost, this is where I'd like to throw the ball now to you with this invitation, because the Gestalt approach, I say to everybody, is a body-based approach. We look at the body cues. It's an awareness-based approach. It's a first real mindfulness approach. But these two, superpowers of what is our body telling us? What is our awareness telling us? These are now in the two different domains as adaptive learning and also mindfulness. And when I am with you, they say, if you want to say young, be with people who are learning. And I love your evolution of mindfulness, awareness-based practices, and also how you recognize to stay centered from a Qigong perspective, which I like to say is very Gestalt, but I also know that you're adding your particular Dost way to it. So I want to invite this moment with you.
Exactly. Okay, thank you very much. There's so much, it's as always so much joy and so much inspiration to listen to you. And I mean, when I was listening to you, I just remembered, I actually told you this story, but I mean, it's difficult to tell it in English, but I will try, because there's a name involved, and the name is like an idiom. So like a few years ago, and I have written about, I actually created a training out of this event. Me and my wife Irene, we were having breakfast at this place in Bosphorus, right? And the valleys, the guys who take the cars away, were feeding like a stray dog. They were feeding a stray dog in there, and they were taking care of the dog. And they actually have built a little dog house for this dog, and they have put a name. They have named the dog, and the name in Turkish is kopuk. It's the difficult word to translate. One translation can even be like stray dog, like kopuk, which kind of means stray dog or a wild stray dog, Yes. And on the other side, kopuk also means out of touch, not connected, not connected, not present even, So when I saw the name, I said, this is such an innovation. This is such creativity. They were able to name this dog. It's wonderful. And it also touched deeper than that, because, I touched the parts that I don't touch. I was reminded of the parts that I don't touch when I'm actually in challenging times. The parts that I kind of tend to run away, choose not to be aware of, is exactly you were talking. And our work, and whenever that happens, it could be something in the family, it could be something about work, it could be something about myself, it could be about something that, I haven't practiced my Qigong for like the last 10 days and I was feeling. Anyway, any kind of bad feeling or challenging feeling from my history, which kind of I'm happy that it's kind of a little bit healed, but not, of course, never totally. So I know that's how I feel. I want to move away from. I don't want to touch. I don't want to feel, and that never works. That strategy never works. Not touching myself, not touching feelings, not making contact. Actually, to use our own language, not connecting to, not making contact with the what is.
Yes.
It's not working. It's not köpek.
Yes.
Dear Oz, by the way. So disconnected. So that disconnection looks like a good strategy to deal with difficult times, but it never works. It always is, too bad. You kind of we kind of live in a haze, like, 2 meters up our head. And our approach, from all we have said, and our approach, the Gestalt approach, yes, and my own work with mindfulness, my own work with the Dharma, the Qigong, and all the work that I'm doing, which are all of them are, I think it's just Gestalt. It's really Gestalt. I think you have told me that they say Zen is the Gestalt of the East and Gestalt is the Zen of the West, or something like that. Anyway, so our approach is, can we be with this? Can we be with whatever is going on? My work is, can I be with this in my body, as you said, in my heart, in my head? Can I be with this and not get lost in trying to move away? Because most of the people, when they talk about dealing with challenging times, they are dealing with, can I not feel this? Or can I just hold my breath and let this pass? Can I really not make contact? Can I just ignore this? This is kind of our conception, even with this pandemic thing. The way most of people are dealing with this pandemic is either they are in desperation, or they are just really in total what's the word I'm looking for, like ignoration of it. They are just trying to ignore even all these these conspiracy theories. They are kind of ways to deal with this this very random non-deterministic chaotic process. If we know it's Bill Gates, maybe we will kick him in the ass and it will go away. It's not Bill Gates. So all of this is actually non-Gestalt. This is how I look at it. The Gestalt of this work is, can be with whatever it is. Even if it is dark, even if it is difficult, even if it is really challenging. Can we honestly touch the deepest part the difficult part, so we can touch the deepest part in ourselves? And interestingly, whenever I actually allow or help my clients be able to stay with the what is, as we say, that's where the innovation is. That's how I experience it. That's wherever, not even in the difficult parts, also in the nice parts, in the nice feelings. We're not also touching or making contact with the nice feelings. We're not making contact with anything. That's, I think, the beauty, and that's the that's our contribution. Even right now, I'm just going to ask all our participants right now, who are listening to me, just take a breath, just slow down. I think there's a delay, so I'm not going to ask you, because the way we see and the way you receive, I think there's a delay, so I'm not going to ask you to write on chat, because I'm not going to wait for 2 minutes, but you could. So if we just could just stop and just be in your body for 1 second, just feel your feet, feel the chair, feel your hands, maybe feel your spine, and let yourself be in your body. Just feel the head, and maybe take a deep breath, and see how listening to us, Dorothy and me, while you're listening to us, what's uppermost? What is the uppermost feeling that you are paying attention to? Not even paying attention, but what's the uppermost feeling? What is uppermost? What are you feeling right now? What is the feeling, or what is the thought? What's there? Just check.
We'd say, what are you aware of? Exactly.
What are you aware of? Exactly. Thank you, Dorothy. And then maybe also check, were you paying attention to that? Were you aware of that just before I asked you to do? And also, what shifted by just paying attention to what you're aware of, actually, right? So, that's kind of the essence. It's as easy and as difficult as this, the way, can we be with what is? So that has been my work. That has been the Gestalt work. And
Dost, in this moment, I love that you took a breath as you said this. I love that you said that this as easy and as difficult. And to everybody who just was with Dost, whatever shifted, can you say a little thank you because it may mean that you'll come back to this later, or you want to say a little thank you, I wasn't aware, or the fact that you paid a little bit of attention to something, what's the new want that it creates in you? Again, this is what we mean by küçük ama büyük, these little moments that have information that are like a knock knock, are within you. And we say, you know more than you know that you know, if you pay attention to yourself and attention to this moment and attention what keeps you from attention to now.
Exactly.
It's all right. It's all information. How do you use your own information?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we don't do. And that's exactly what we need to do in challenging times. Can be with what is. I mean, it was Kierkegaard who said, be with what is, so what is possible may become. I mean, can we honestly, have pain, because, pain not made contact with actually turns into suffering.
Yes.
So, I mean, with this, Dorothy, I can talk a lot about this. That's kind of what kind of got inspired in me while speaking to you. And I also know, you have so much to say. And I didn't even talk about mindfulness part and the Dharma part, but I really love the part also you said about Sangha, So it's also how do we make connection with others? That's also always in my heart and important. It's, one of, the Buddha's, attendants or disciples, who was also his cousin, Ananda. He was talking with the Buddha, the enlightened one, and he had a revelation, and he said, "Dear Buddha, isn't it true that walking with other people, or walking with other people who are on the same path, other noble people, is half of the path?" And the Buddha responds, never say that at Ananda, because walking with other noble people or other people who are on the path is actually the whole of the path. So, again, that also is what I'm reminded when you actually mentioned Sangha. And Sangha means, people you walk together with. So I'm at this point, I'm just going to pass the ball to you. And you've been working with a lot with, these kinds of things. So, what's standing out for you when out of this work of Gestalt with people who are in challenging times? So let me praise it like that. But I don't know what to ask. I just want to ask you what's got stirred up in you, and what do you want to share with us? What wisdom you want to share with us?
Oh, I appreciate the wisdom you're sharing, those things.
Thank you.
That's actually these little moments. Again, these little moments where so much information is there. I like to talk about the martial artist Bruce Lee. He had a movement. Whoop, he caught it. Can we just catch this moment? Because the moment is what I call atomic. A moment has so much information. And that's actually one of our challenges. We're most of the time, and I say this for myself, not paying attention because we stay with our agenda. And here's something, we stay with our should. We're trying to make sure, did I say that wonderful word? Did I do that brilliant thing? Did I do all these things? And the moment calls maybe for something, küçük ama büyük, a recognition. And these is, maybe now, and first of all, may we come out of it. I think the damage from this COVID is so significant that it's actually hard to pay attention to the opportunity. And yet, Dost, I'm reminded how many times I've heard you talk about Odysseus, the story of the Odyssey, and you have a poem that we love to make you tell us. But I'm going to just say to everybody that we all have our parents and our relatives, that they all have a story of adversity. And adversity is in our DNA. You just have to scratch a little bit, and we know the story of challenges. We are all survivors of some kind of challenge in our history. So that survival is actually, resilience is built on survival, but resilience has something that I think is important, and that is, can we thrive? Can we stay alive? And this is where I think those for us, we always say, you know, what is it that you have, you know, a moot for? What's your dream? Because the dream has so much life and love in it. What is it that you're dreaming for? Because the dream is what carries a person to take care of their family, to take care of walking on the path. Yes. You know, yes. And I think that the other thing that we truly have, the idea of umut, what is it you also have hope for? You know, the ICF has these core competencies, and later you'll hear from Carrie Abner, who is with the ICF, wonderful woman. But their core competencies actually are quite brilliant, because one of them, and I know Dost you've talked about, is curiosity mindset. What's your umut? How open are you to possibility? Or when someone is different from you, do you say no? I know once I did a lecture and somebody wanted to sing. Oh my God, I can't sing. And they wanted to sing, and I said, this is Gestalt. We don't sing in Gestalt. For a year, I was sorry, because I said, of course, you should sing. What's our capacity for being open to what gives hope and possibility? And I think the other thing about Sangha is, are we in good company with people that we can share and dialogue with? And here's something very interesting. I know this. With people who promise to be a challenge to you. We think that we need to go forward. Everybody has to say yes to us. Yoke. They also have to say no to us. And when they say no to us, sometimes we end up thinking better. Yes. So we are stimulated by people who have courage. And our courage is to recognize when we are afraid to go forward anyway. And I think this is the important reason. You know, there's so much work now, Dost, that this wonderful woman from Texas, Brene Brown, on vulnerability. And vulnerability is, well, you know, it turns out that we love stories of greatness. Ataturk, you know, Kennedy, when he was young, had an incredible speech. Martin Luther King, you know, this wonderful girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. We love stories of greatness because why? This shows people who maybe had fear, but they stood up anyway for what they had umut and hayal for, and they went forward. And so dealing with difficult times is to own your fear and to have practices to support you to stay grounded and to move forward anyway. And so I'd say to everybody, what we do all the time is first we ask, what is it? Where is your anxiety? What's the message of your anxiety? Sometimes when I have anxiety, I go, old friend, what are you here to tell me? I need to center myself. And we remind everywhere. And so, you know, Dost, this is familiar to you, but because you teach this, but we tell everybody the relationship between anxiety and excitement is so simple. Excitement is anxiety without breath. And that the magic phenomena that we do very often is to help people become more aware of how they're standing, with support, without support, with their umut, without their umut. Just your standing tells a message. And then we invite people, touch your anxiety. What does your anxiety need to have more breath and to give you more courage for your excitement? There's a piece of work in that. And then we do the work of managing, how do you support yourself to touch what you want? Just because you know what you want. So many people say, I know what I want. I can't let myself move towards what I want. So we honor resistance, because resistance, we all learned how not to do something because it protected us. So what's the protection that no longer is protecting you, but is holding you back? And I think that's just such a huge thing. Everyone has a story of how they stopped themselves. And you know how you know this? Think of yourself. How many people know they should exercise? Everyone. How many people know what they should eat and don't eat? Everyone. How many people have a habit of watching too much Netflix? Many. We all know what we shouldn't do, but we do it because maybe we can't support ourselves. And in difficult times, it's a reminder that these practices that we can give awareness to actually make a difference. And also a forgiveness place when we don't do it. Sometimes I'll have a client that says, I didn't do it. I go, okay, how does it feel to say that? And now what? To be able to tell the truth, a safe place to tell the truth, to be accepted, and then with support, challenged. So I think actually, Dost, I want to say to you and to all of us, maybe this is also what I love about this Gestalt approach. It's a very humanistic, large system at the individual level, at the dyad level. And even now, you know, everyone, you hear Dost and I talking together, because most of the time we're talking to other people, but now we're actually talking to each other. I'm aware, Dost, that you and I are talking in a particular way that means that my stories live in you and your stories live in me.
Exactly.
And just one thing before I throw it to you, we need to do that more for each other now. In this social isolation, we can offer more recognition. And I know that, you know, when I've come to Istanbul so many times that I feel almost, but not yet Turkish. But one of the things that I say in Istanbul is we can honor the other with more recognition. That there is a way that we shouldn't show off so much, because maybe, you know, who knows what can fall on our heads if we shine too much. But we can give more recognition to the other, because when we do that, here's an interesting thing. We immediately increase our oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of when you have a child, when you love someone, you know, but also when you are in relationship. And we can be more oxytocin cocktail with each other. I throw it to you, Dost.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't know what else to say, Dorothy. You. Let me see. So if we could do this, right, what I'm doing, you know, what I'm just checking what got inspired in me, and
yes,
you know, so the difficult. I mean, we're talking about challenging, difficult times, and I am so. I mean, for example, I'm just in touch with, when you were talking about, I'm just in touch with this person that I just talked with, you know, as, you know, client, student, and they were she was and her husband actually working in the same company, were working in a situation they hated,
yes,
they didn't love, and what happened is, you know, there was a huge difference, and they weren't in Turkey, they were somewhere else, and you know, then there was a different change in the circumstances, and you know, the husband had to leave, and now she's very angry that her husband had to leave a job that made him actually sick, you know, really, he had a heart attack because of work. You know, so that's how we approach all these difficult. I mean, I don't know if it's difficult time, is it challenging times? So what's going on? So even in this, so that's what got inspired in me. You know, I had this spiritual teacher years ago, you know, and when someone comes and asks her, you know, I mean, because there was like a belief system in there, of course, she says, when someone comes and asks, hey, you know, I hate this job, should I leave? And she will say, you know, if you leave, probably you're going to have the same problem in a different version of the same problem. Maybe you should just stay and work with it where you are, you know. And she would say, if you are done with a job or a situation, you know, probably there comes a situation that you are offered such a good job, or you are fired, so you cannot stay because you're not done with it yet, unless something like that happens. So basically, you know, I think what got inspired in me is there is a challenge, and as you exactly said, and I'm kind of a resistance to it, that actually is not working. Can I stay with it? Can I look at it? Can I learn from it? And to be able to do this, can I actually be aware? Can I stay aware and awake? Even not aware, but awake, so I can stay aware that I can learn from it is like the essence of, I think, what we do, what you do, what I do, and what many wise people, I will say, do. Many wise people are, and the wisdom comes from not knowing a lot, but the wisdom, I think, comes from being able to stay with the moon. Someone asked, what is the dream of Gestalt? What's the dream of Gestalt in the chat?
Yes.
And that is the, everybody has to have their personal dream. And the problem is we sometimes mix the dreams with ideology. Ideology is always restricting. Ideology is always shoulds. But dreams is always about wants, or even not a want, not like a egoistic want. The dream is actually living in our heart. So can we touch that dream? And the Gestalt dream that I touch is, can we help people that I'm in contact with? Mostly I'm doing it for myself. So they actually are in contact with their challenging times, with their pain, with their joy, especially with their dreams. So they're not actually hurting themselves, and they're not hurting others that much. So that's kind of, I think, is the Gestalt dream that I hold myself in my heart. So that your conversation, your speech actually kind of inspires that. And so the work is, can we stay? I mean, exactly. I'm always with that. And also the other part you're talking about, the Sangha part, I really love what I learned from working with groups, the multi-level systems, using the Gestalt approach is, joining is needed. Joining, if there's no joining, there will not be enough differentiation when it is necessary, and differentiation could be, facing the challenges. Differentiation could be, hey, I'm not in the same idea as you are, let's discuss. The differentiation could be anything, or differentiation could be, this is too much. I don't know how to deal with this, but I am going to go into it. I'm just going to touch the heart of the storm. I'm going in the storm, to the heart of the storm. But there needs to be joining, either in a team or in my family, with my coach, with my Gestalt partner, with you in my case. If I have that kind of joining that allows me to say, hey, I'm just going to deal with this. I'm just going in, And then when there's allowance or possibility for differentiation, when there's permission to differentiate, then I'm so free I can join. So that's, joining is a support for differentiation, and differentiation is a support for joining. And that's exactly what we need when we are in times of challenge. And challenge could be from inside, challenge could be from outside, challenge could be from me and you, our relationship. Can we stay with this? Can we allow ourselves first to join, make contact, and then maybe we can actually do the work. And the last part, I think, that gets inspired in me, and maybe then we could go into the Q&A part. I see that we have like 17 minutes. The last part that gets inspired is, and I forget it when I was paying attention to the time, but there's something to say. That was something else, but I forget it. Dorothy. But you have something to say, please do.
Well, I love what you're saying, Dost, and I think it's just so it's so powerful. And for everyone listening, this is where what we do, again, with Kuchuka Mabyuk, we would say very easily to, when we're sitting with somebody, what gives you joy? And we would just ask that. We would just, can we take for a few minutes, what gives you joy? And then, this whole kind of forbidden topic of difficult times. Well, Dost, unfortunately, I also have had challenges. And over the years, what I've understood now is difficult times are an invitation to find our strength. Exactly. And there's a wonderful question, a practice that I say to people, okay, can you just, in the now, remember these name a difficult time, and because of this difficult time, what good came to you? Mm-hmm. And people are always surprised. Oh, that was so terrible. I thought my life. And they say, I tried something new. I left this work that gave me a heart attack, or I thought I was going to give someone else a heart attack. I left that, or I had a new. So because of this difficulty, because of that difficulty, where did you come? And also, what is meaningful to you that you want to take time for? You know, in these difficult times, sometimes we can be home more now. What can we do at home? We can take a walk. Can we enjoy the walk? We can call someone. You know, these small, maybe we have to start remembering exactly what you said, Dost, how to touch ourselves, how to touch others. Because what happened with technology is we got out of balance. I'm very unhappy about COVID, but I look at this and I say to myself, what's the lesson we're supposed to learn? What's the wisdom we're supposed to take? And are we aware of it for kindling? So I know that you wanted to hear from people. So how shall we do that?
But before we go there, exactly, Dorothy, the reason that I'm now speaking to you right now is, and on November 30th, 1999, I was working at a bank at the Treasury Department as like a treasury manager, right? And I had a fight with my boss. I exactly know the date because that's the date Turkey got upgraded with S&P, Standard and Poor's. And then we had a fight, and I tell the story as if I quit the job, but the reality is if I didn't quit, I will be fired. I'm fired. That was a difficult time. And the outcome is now I'm speaking with you. Otherwise, probably I will be still at a bank. I don't think I will be a general manager or a CEO. I probably will be like a treasury assistant general manager or something. And I probably will be like an alcoholic, maybe 2 times the weight that I am. And I have never, maybe I haven't, maybe I will find my path anyway. But, that difficult time actually allows me to be here, having this conversation with you, having these thoughts, having these feelings. So exactly, so how can we respond? How can we stay with? And there's one little piece, we were driving back home with my wife today, from where we were for the lockdown. And she was listening to her teacher, and the teacher was speaking about, this was like a kind of like a live call. She was saying, and it's a tantric practice that from like Tibetan Buddhism, tantric practice. And she was saying, we think, by making contact with the nice feelings we have opening to wisdom or to wholeness or to Buddha mind or the God, but also being intimate, having intimacy with the difficult feelings. Also in there is jewel. In each experience, if we stay with that, we be aware and make direct contact, there will be, the jewel, there will be the opening, And as they say, no mud, no lotus, we need the mud. And the last maybe word before I pass the word to Rana for the questions is, one meditation teacher I had says, the way out is the way through. The way out is the way through. You cannot walk around. There's no way out. And our approach is the true approach. Can we really go in? So maybe it's time for Q&A.
Yes.
Rana.
Lütfen.
Yes. Any questions you would like to pose to Dorothy, me, or both of us? Please do so in the chat, and we will try to respond. And I think Rana was going to support us, but I don't know if she's.
Sorry, Rana has some technical problems, and I'm here to support you. My name is Feyza, and I'm checking the chat if there is any questions, and I will. I read those for you. Yeah,
please.
Most of them are explaining how they like the conversations that you have and how you are shining. And there is one question. Yes. how can we stay also with difficult people that we in fact want to have a better relationship with, for example, family? How do we know that dream relationship may or may not work with those people?
So important. It's in our family, those that we learn our family usually is an inspiration for us to learn the skills that we need to learn. So I think the family is always a wonderful, it's our first sangha, it's our first system. Those, you want to start? I shall follow you.
Start. No, you start. And you already started, so please go.
It's our family, actually, that, we most people would say we cannot afford to lose. It's, I mean, we're living in a world now that the death now is a word that actually I was just reading an article by a nun in America who is now saying we need to talk more about death so we appreciate life. And I just think that's actually probably true. The Tibetan Book of the Dead said, tell us the person how they died, I'll tell you how they are alive. But difficulty in a family, difficulty is always an opportunity for a couple of things. First, recognize what your trigger is. Recognize what sets you off to have what you consider a negative reaction. That's the first thing. What do you have control over? Not the other person, even if it's a parent, a sibling, a child, a relative. You have control over yourself. Can you first recognize that? So the first thing we say is recognize the emotion that's triggering you. And can you, with recognition, actually take a pause break or a breath break? And can you come to a more neutral place rather than a reactive place? There's a very famous phrase that says, between stimulus and response, there is a pause. The stimulus is the person that irritates you. The pause is to give yourself another option before you react. Very often people will say, I'll say, do you understand me? They said, I understand that you did something, that you didn't yell. And very often that's the lesson. Gandhi says, my life is my message. Can you look at your triggers and say to yourself, I'm going to, every time, this could be like the beginning. Every time I see myself reacting, I'm going to just see if I can breathe, 10 breaths. And you take a deep 4 seconds in breath, 5 seconds out breath. We're not going to do it now because of time. And see how I feel different after 5 or 10 breaths. And usually you are less reactive. And once you're less reactive, you can respond differently. Again, kuchuk amabuk. It's still very big because where you are aware of, you have choice. I'm going to pause Dost to throw it to you.
No, exactly as you said, Dorothy. I just want to add that, there's like research that says that pause, that, there's stimulus and response. There's like a pause, and that pause is actually 0.7 seconds, and first 0.3 seconds, we don't have any control, but we only have like after that 0.4 seconds to actually take a pause. That's so important. That's why we need to be really aware, so that I wanted to underline. And the second part is, even, I don't know if you meant this, Dan, maybe you didn't, but when such a question is asked, it usually means, how can I mean, you were speaking to that, right? How can I actually change these people, so that I can have a relationship with them, which, never works, exactly. So the question is, they want, how can actually you can have, exactly as you said, right, have some sort of understanding of my reactions, as you said, so I can stay with myself when I'm with them, because what we want to move away from is not exactly them. We want to move away from how we feel when we are with them, how we are triggered when we are with them. The last part is, is actually, we talked about Tibetan practices. So, why not one more? So one Tibetan practice that I sometimes use in a group, mostly in groups, is I ask people, who gets you triggered, and what's your projection? What are you calling them? And someone says, they are like so selfish. They only think about themselves. They annoy me. they get on my nerves. And there's one round and I just say, just write it down, don't forget it. And in the second round, I ask them to say the same thing and then add just exactly as I do as well. Exactly as I do as well. Like, they are so selfish, exactly as I am as well. They are only thinking about themselves. As I'm thinking about myself in this too. They won't change, as I won't change either. So, they are doing the things that we are doing. We're just projecting on them. So can we understand this situation? And by understanding that everybody is actually suffering the same way because we want things different than as they are. This is the essence of, problem with the challenging times. We don't want challenging times. We want it to be different than what it is. And we want people different than who they are. Of course, we have to say no and we have to put boundaries when they are really hurting us. I'm not talking about that. But if we cannot accept what is as it is, that will only cause more pain and suffering. And the problem is, we are all trying to change the what is, and this is why we are suffering like hell. Can we just stay, as you exactly Dorothy you said, and can we actually look at our own triggers and look at the way we cannot stay with ourselves, with our own feelings when with these people that we find, whatever, annoying and etc. Exactly.
Wonderful. I just think that's a wonderful way of looking at it. And, to Hande, who asked the question, you could also add, and I choose for right now not to respond, but later.
Exactly.
To acknowledge your interest. So we have more, but this is such a huge topic. I just love it. And just like me, this is one of the big topics of being alive. We say whatever you react to is already because you're triggered. How do you recognize your triggers?
Exactly.
This is a great question. So should we have another one?
Yes. Yes, please.
The question. How can a person cope with someone who is so proud of himself and show that in a person's weakness?
I think we responded to that.
Yeah, in a way. But in this part, also, she is adding when she is feeling that weakness and so vulnerable.
Yes. First, I would say first, make contact with your own pride and your own weakness, because otherwise, when people come and say, "Hey, he's not listening to me," and I'm saying, no, you're not listening. No, you don't understand. He is not listening. No, you're not listening. That's why you're calling him not listening. So how can we start with ourselves? I think that's the message of our conversation. I don't want to go on. What do you think, Dorothy?
This is a huge issue, and it's also it's an epidemic. I just want to say this is an epidemic of a lot of people who have so much pride, nobody else can breathe, and then we get choking. So part of it is actually, I would just say this, where is your compassion? When someone is acting puffed up, with the French say, gonflé, me, of course, that it's a syndrome. Where is your compassion? And, we say your perception of me is a reflection of you. And my response to you is an awareness of me. And I would just say, for those people who are walking around like maniac, I say, can you have compassion for them? Because sooner or later, the world is going to discomfort them. And here's the important thing. Very often, whoever asks that question, it's very smart to learn how to get out of their way. Don't make yourself their object, because it becomes very tiring. Compassion, and say that it's a nice day, because it's very tiring to be with a person who has so much pride, and they probably will not be able to listen to your lesson. So who is the real teacher? How can you teach yourself compassion and patience and get out of the way?
I think we have like 1 minute and 20 seconds. Any other question? Maybe I just love that what Gestalt wrote. If you had a chance to share 1 or 2 sentences instead of having an hour of talk, what would you share here? Dorothy, would you want to maybe just one sentence?
It's very, very challenging. Listen, I love the word tevekül. the Turkish word. Of course, I love the divine that there's embedded in the Turkish approach. And what I'd say is the divine wants us to do our part. What's your part that you can be awake to help tevekkül? Because that actually is our human relationship. The divine is always there, but we have a chance to help, and we call that trusting the process. What process can you be more aware of with compassion and with your umut and hayal? I want to thank you for this time, Dostum.
Yes, I mean, I just want to say the way out is the way through.
Yes.
You know, you cannot not face your challenges and be well. You know, you have to face it. And that facing is the where the lotus comes. You know, no mud, no lotus. You know, that challenge is what you need to face right now. And that's a good thing. You know, just let's be thankful. Yes.
The mud is very fertile for new possibilities.
So I think, did we have extra time? I don't know. What's going on? Like it says extra time, but I don't know if we have.
We have 4 minutes. Is that possible?
Is that true? I mean, because I thought it was like really an hour.
Hello, are we in cyberspace? Are we on? Are we live?
I have no idea, Dorothy. So maybe that's a challenging time.
It's a great moment. Well, we could enjoy. Actually, I have a wonderful poem I would love to tell if we had time. What? And I know you have. What do you, are we live?
I think we're off. Nobody's here. Extra time. Yes, we have extra time. Okay. Do we have? Yeah, okay.
We do.
We are live. Okay, so we are live. So please.
Actually, so I'm just laughing at this moment. Actually, just this is also, when the gift comes, can you appreciate it? We wanted time, and now the gift comes, and my God, can we appreciate it? So
yeah, believe it.
Yeah, no, use it. I mean, wonderful. The interesting thing is, I think that this is where this, this whole, zor zamanlar, people who can use times of adversity for, staying human, staying alive, but also coming through the challenge with more humanity and choosing to either make their family better, themselves better, their work better. That's extraordinary, and with new innovation. So I just actually, I love this one poem. I'm going to say this to you and then throw it to you. May I, Dost?
Sure.
Yeah? Or before I do that, what would you like to do with this time?
I don't know. I'm really curious about the poem, so I want to listen to it.
Well, I remember when I had a very difficult moment. At some point, it was around a family member was not well, and it was very difficult. But I found this poem that I found it was really extraordinary by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and it said something like this: refuse to fall down. But if you cannot refuse to fall down, refuse to lie down. But if you cannot refuse to lie down, because you cannot refuse to lie down and you have to stay down, then lift. Lift your heart to heaven and ask that it be filled. You may be pushed down, you may be kept down, but no one can keep you from lifting your heart to heaven and asking for it to be full. The one that does not know this, surely that one is not yet listening. Yeah. So I want to say to you, Dost, and to all of our people, what are you listening to that inspires you, that gives you umut, that gives you hayal, and that reminds you of the larger tevekkül that you can support? And I give it to you, Dostum.
Exactly. I don't know what else to say, but I'm just reminded of Mother Teresa.
Sure.
And someone asked her, so you pray to God, because I mean, she's this nun, they're famous, and and they ask him, after your wonderful, I'm just into this deep place. He says, so what do you say to God when you pray? And she says, no, I don't say anything. I just listen.
Yes.
And people have said, okay, and what does he say? And he says, no, he doesn't say anything. He actually just listens.
I love it.
Yeah. So can we be in the listening? I think, so that, I mean, exactly what you said. I mean, can we be in the listening? I don't know what else to say.
But
I think we're taking people's time from Carrie Abner. Maybe we should just stop.
Well, I would just say, actually, no. Yeah. I love Carrie Abner, and Carrie Abner, I just want to say hello to her, because when you talk with Carrie Abner, everybody, you will feel also part of the larger Sangha of the ICF, and she stands for excellence, and we love her, and we appreciate her, and we are honored to be an ambassador also in our program. But I think this is just a reminder. We're online, everyone. Yes, this is our new thing. But this is what we've learned. We have to be more human. In challenging times, what we need is more humanity, more contact with each other's dreams, more shared vulnerability, and more reminder how we matter to each other. So I want to thank you, Dostum. And I want to thank you, Dorothy.